Yes.
Okay. Our project, as I said before, is AI diagnosis by me and two other teammates, Shivan and Aditya. So let's begin by talking about our problem statement and our objective of this project. Basically, people all around the world have troubles with diagnosing what diseases they have, considering there are so many of them. And some don't have enough money to or time to like go to the doctor's office, get appointments scheduled, and to consult with the doctor. So the objective of our project is to develop an AI program that solves these problems and these gaps within our society. And it discovers like what disease you have based on the symptoms you input in a matter of seconds. Now let's begin with our methodology, part number one. So the first step we took is finding a secure file or like a file or a data set with the necessary information to train the model. We looked through many Kaggle data sets, many of those CSV file data sets, and we wanted to find one that seemed accurate, that seemed good enough to be able to be trained for our AI model. And as a group, we finalized on a data set with around 240,000 rows posted on Kaggle. And it had 246,000 rows and 377 columns with the diseases and those lists. And after finding that file, we started building our code and training the model. So after we prepared our data set, we cleaned, organized the data set for accuracy, and we trained it using as mentioned, like the Kaggle data set to recognize patterns, symptoms. So whenever the user inputs it, they'll get an output. And the model was tested to ensure that it could predict the diseases reliably. And along the process, we changed the code, improved the performance to make the AI faster. So basically, our initial accuracy after training the model was 98%, but due to the dataset being very large um, and our systems not being so great, we had to shorten it down to 2,000 rows, which was a significant drop in the rows, which led to our accuracy being 70%. So as this is a prototype, we're still working on that, and this prototype can definitely be improved by me and my team members, and we can definitely get the accuracy higher if we figure out how to match the memory limits of our system. Part three of our methodology. So we built the front end of the website after we trained the model using Streamlit. We used Streamlit for our front end, and it let us create the layout, design, and just mostly whatever's required for the front end. And the background, it had a RGB color scheme, which we imported into our line of code. And we bolded letters. We emphasized the important test, what our project like name was, so users would know exactly what it is. And the backend is the scenes of code. And when running the code, we ran into many various errors. And we had to definitely go back to our code, fix that, and we had to change up, as I mentioned, our rows and such, so we could match the memory of our system. So just to conclude, what I've talked about is many people struggle to diagnose the diseases, and not many people have time to go to or afford a doctor. And our project's goal is to build a program that identifies these diseases in seconds. Although it's a prototype, we can definitely fix the accuracy of the model. And AI diagnosis was created to bridge these gaps in healthcare, and it makes diagnosis more accessible, efficient, and supportive for those who need it. Thank you. So now let me, as I've talked about my model, as I've talked about what our front and back end was, what our project was, let me start by showing you the back end of the code and running it so we can show you the front end as well.
Yeah, I would love to take a look at the code. And also, this was a really nice presentation, and I really love the way that you have presented it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me begin by going to the VS Code. So let me start by showing you guys all of the parts of our code in the VS Code. We use VS Code for this as it's a good software to use for like our Python code, and it's reliable as well. So for app.py, what this is exactly is these are our lines of code which we use to train our system and to figure out our accuracy of the system. And we imported various features over here, and we split the data test. We trained the model so we can like see the accuracy of how like the blank percent of this is what our output will be, like how accurate it is. So we split the data set, we split the independent and dependent features, and we saw like our accuracy of the model. And since we didn't want to keep training the model, as that took a long time, what we did was we made this into a joblib file. A joblib file is basically like how that we get our joblib file is basically our trained model without having to run this over and over again. And it made us and the instructor save time. So this is our joblib file over here, and this is already our trained model. So all we would have to do is we would have to go to app2.py, which is our front end, and all we would have to do is import the joblib file model over here, and we could easily just run this in the terminal, and it would run the app, and it would run the website we've created. And I just wanted to show you our data set as well, which we used. So as you can see, it has so many rows, and we had to definitely shorten this down so then we could match our system's memory. And these are all the rows. And now let me start running it.
Okay.
So
I just have a couple of questions regarding the first file.
yeah,
Could you switch to the first file?
yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you chose some selected rows, right?
Mhm.
And why was this?
We only we only took like a couple of them because as I mentioned, like our system's memory, it like kept giving us errors, and we had to figure out a way to figure out to match our memory processor for the system, and so that Streamlit could easily run the app without facing any errors.
Okay. And if I had to ask you that you chose this data set, then can you tell me why did you think that this data set would be reliable and this data set is good to work forward?
This data set is reliable because we have like all of the um, we have a bunch of rows, and we have a lot of good information, good reliable information. And we thought, oh, if we have like one type of disease or multiple, we could easily like train this, and uh, we could use this data set, and it would be easy to like split into dependent independent features. It like matched the flow of how we are supposed to structure our code and train our model.
And did you perform any kind of data pre-processing on this?
uh Data pre-processing, we for data pre-processing uh we made sure
Okay.
we
Uh,
made sure it read the data set, like the model, and uh as you can see in like this line of code, that's what we did.
okay, no worries. So yeah, just one more question that you said that you use a joblib file to store it somewhere, and you are working in two files, right? One is, I think so, where you are training the model, and second file is where you are actually running it, the front end part, as you mentioned. So could you tell me why weren't you running the entire code in the single file? Why didn't you train the model in the same file and run it in the same file?
Okay, so we did this so it would be more convenient for us, and so we could easily see, oh, so if we run our train model, we face these errors. And if we jumbled up all the code, then it would show us, say we made couple of mistakes, it would show us all the errors, and which would be hard to go one by one and fix them. So if we start in steps, if we start by training the model first, converting it into a joblib file, going into our front end, it's way more convenient. And having like these sections would make us see, oh, okay, so in our app.py, in our train model, we have these errors, and in our front end, we have these errors. It's much more convenient for the user, for the creators to see where there are errors, and it's easier to fix with different sections being there.
Okay, great. You may move forward.
Okay, let me go back to the front end. So this is like this is our front end of the code, and this is like where we set up the background color, where we imported our joblib file, which is our main important thing. Our joblib file, as I mentioned, was our train model, and we wouldn't have to keep running it. So let me begin by running our entire code in the terminal, because running it usually, as that's what you people would do, that would like not be as efficient and convenient. It's much easier to do it through the terminal, so it would automatically go to the Streamlit, and so we would have to do Streamlit run app 2.py, and if we just hit enter, it would take us to the Streamlit software. And as this is a prototype, it will obviously take a couple of seconds to load up, and due to like the different rows we have. And so here, this is where we would input our symptoms, where the user who is facing a disease that they don't know what it is, they would input whatever symptoms they need. So do you have any symptoms in mind, or should I just go through it?
Let's select something on random. Maybe select dizziness, and select insomnia,
Insomnia.
and scroll down more. Throat swelling and skin swelling. The last one. Yeah. Let's do with these.
Okay, and then we just hit the submit. It will take a couple of seconds to load up.
Okay. So maybe while this is loading, could you tell me like while uh, throughout the entire development process, you mentioned one thing.
Oh yeah,
You mentioned what? Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, go
That
ahead.
is good. Yeah. So I was just asking you that throughout the development process, you mentioned that something about the memory error, right? That you
Mhm.
faced.
Yeah.
So was this your biggest challenge, and what were some other challenges that you faced during the entire journey?
Yeah, so let me just begin by answering your question, then I'll get back to this code, but back to the answer it gave. And so our main errors were definitely the memory one, yes, because we were trying to figure out a way to keep the 98% accuracy and still keep like the number of rows we had. But instead we had to shorten it down, which was our last route, as our system wasn't able to handle it. And so that was like one of our biggest challenges, as the accuracy now for our prototype has decreased significantly. And our second and that memory even led us to not being able to import it onto GitHub, because of how large the files were, our joblib files and our training files, like how big those files were. GitHub would just not take them, and Streamlit also had errors processing the data and launching it. So um, during when we launched it, that was our biggest error.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
you may proceed.
Yeah, so as we imported as we chose these symptoms, our predicted disease was panic disorder, and we could just like check the accuracy. Like, although it's 70%, we could check, like, going to a new tab, panic disorder. We could search up like symptoms, and we imported like dizziness, throat swelling, skin swelling. Dizziness is right over here, and yeah, and the other ones. Wait, give me a second. and just our AI overview. And yes, it's a common symptom of panic disorder. So as we can see, it's pretty accurate, and it gives you like whatever the user needs, whatever symptoms they inputted.
Okay. Yeah. This would wait for the demonstration part. I really like the project and the way you demonstrated it, and you also explained me that you answered my questions well, and your explanation was to the point. And it seems that